Hello there. This is our Astro Tarot. I had quite the week this last week going to the Good Medicine Confluence, and if you are ever feeling the call to go, I would highly recommend you follow that call because there is a gathering of so many wonderful people in the herbalism and wellness community, and you can just meet people from all over the country as well as get to take multiple classes from people who you may not ever get to take a class from in your local whereabouts. So if you ever feel the call, I suggest you go. For myself, it was a wonderful experience by way of both taking classes and also teaching. I met a lot of like-minded people that are passionate about the subject of aromatherapy and medicine making, and it was really something that just filled my heart to be able to share my passions with these people and expand upon their knowledge base and also inspire them in regard to some directions that I've gone in my life. It actually inspired me to start offering medicine making classes online. So I will be developing those classes here in the coming weeks if you are interested in learning things like how to make medicine with herbal pharmacy, or how to make tinctures, or when to use tinctures and what to do with them, and how to make your own body care products, or any of this arrangement of skill set. Reach out and I'll keep you on my mailing list and let you know how the classes develop and when they will be offered. Now, as far as the tarot goes, we have an opening card of the Wheel of Fortune. So some change of events that is happening this week or revealing itself that is actually going to be providing us some kind of opportunity. Now consider that Jupiter just went retrograde. So it's going retrograde through the sign of Aries, making its way back into Pisces. And the sign of Aries is this sign of who we are. Like, it's the I am zodiac sign of that system. And so there's, in a lot of ways, this review happening and some kind of change in our environment that's making us kind of change our footing or realign with a different path based on something that has shifted in the coming or in the past few weeks. This last big transit that we're actually still going to be feeling, that I've been referencing big time in the last reading in regard to the Mars North Node Uranus conjunction, likely gave you some kind of direction in place of what needs to change, where there needs to be a shift. And rather than us shake our fist at the sky, right, we can make the most out of that opportunity and understand that perhaps things shifted for us to actually align with the direction that we really want to go, and that this shift is actually helping us to move away from that which is standing in our way of making progress in our lives. The challenge that we have came in by way of the Five of Wands. So how are we going to interact with this change, right? Are we going to interact with it by way of it being a struggle and a fight? Or is it more of an experience of learning how to use our energy and where to place our energy? Because the five people that are in this card could be seen as either, engaged in some kind of martial art, right? Or that they're in some kind of training. And it always brings up the energy of capoeira for me, which is a type of martial art that was developed in Brazil with people who were actually considered slaves. And they were doing what was perceived as this kind of dance or mating ritual by their slave masters, when really they were training and refining their ability and agility and how they worked with one another. And it looked like it was playful, but really they were engaging by a way of training. So what is this experience and this shift engaging in you by way of your will and how you apply it to a situation? How do you engage with that situation? Do you engage with it as it's going to be a useful challenge, right? Do you engage with the challenge knowing that you're fully capable, or do you go in as a fight and ready to take everything out. There's different energies, and that's why it's a 5, right? We have a choice in regard to how we engage. Now, what will come out of that is a very big shift in energy. It could possibly be a new message or some kind of conversation that's coming in, because we see this Knight of Swords with all of the feet of the horse up in the air. There's something that's still in motion, right? And for the little bit of energy or information that we have in regard to this change, everything hasn't quite landed yet. There's a lot that is still in motion, and we can't necessarily make a definitive decision until we get more information. So allow more information to come in. Now, the ultimate outcome that we have for today came in as a combination of 2 cards. Came in as the Page of Cups, which is like a doorway that is opening, but we have to let some lower aspect of self dissolve away so that we can actually step toward this aspect of ourselves, which would be considered the higher self or the next version of ourselves. Because it is a Pisces governed card, and Pisces in the zodiac system is the last zodiac sign before it goes back into Aries, okay? Because it's a wheel of 12 zodiac signs. And so it has this dissolving nature, right? It's a mutable water sign. So it has this dissolving nature of, like, how does the caterpillar's body dissolve so it can form into a butterfly? It's similar to that. And we have a combination of that with the Death card, which is in a lot of ways confirming this transformation process that we're all going through. Now, consider that we did, and we still are, in a manner of speaking, still going through this transit of Mars, Uranus, and the North Node, which is like an activation to move toward the North Node. Now, consider those planetary bodies and influences are all in the sign of Taurus, which means that the South Node is at 180 degrees opposite of the North Node, which means it is in the placement of Scorpio. And so in a lot of ways, oh, there's a grasshopper that spooked me. Oh God, the grasshoppers are everywhere, and that surprised me a lot. I'm sorry. I'm usually not so skittish, but it spooked me a little bit. Sorry about that. So the Scorpio energy, along with the Piscean energy, is kind of a combination that's drawing my attention to that which is in our lives, which we are dissolving and learning to let go of, right? That which has to kind of die or have a death to it so we can have this rebirth of transformation. And when we look at the astrology that's going on, it's interesting that we have Neptune in retrograde in Pisces right now. And typically, you know, all of the water signs, if you have a influence going on in a trinity, it would be in the same element sign. So they'd be working together in a movement of ease and grace. And so if you had something in Scorpio and Pisces and Cancer, they would all be water signs, right? And they would be said to get along very easily because they are all in the same element. Similarly to if you had, you know, planets or transits happening in Virgo and Capricorn and Taurus, those would be the 3 earth signs, right? Which would be forming a trinity. Now, having these energies of Scorpio, right, the death card, and Pisces show up as our ultimate outcome today, I think is really calling our attention to where we want to put our effort in the future and what is happening in our lives right now that we need to let go of so that we can actually put our energy and effort toward the future. Because you may have been in this place of kind of juggling a lot of things, or seeing that one direction that you felt really called to is actually creating more stress and self-imposed suffering, and it's not necessarily needed. It's not necessary, right? So what can you transform through this friction that we're all experiencing that will actually allow you to go into a new space and discover this next phase of your life and the next chapter of self that you are moving toward. I think we're all going through that process, and it is a very powerful time for all of us. Now, for me, particularly, I have 5 planets in Scorpio, as well as my part of fortune. So this transit has been really powerful for me in regard to my sense of self. And in a lot of ways, I've been called to step up and be present as a teacher and to help people maneuver through different terrain by way of a guide. And so it's forcing me to look at where I can put my time and where I have the most value of my time by way of how I can help and serve people, because I have a rising sign of Virgo, which means that I'm very service oriented and also very health minded. So for me, I'm looking at how I can teach people different skills that will empower them to be able to take better care of themselves, which is what I feel called to develop in the future, more so by my own path. Now, how these energies are affecting you personally is pretty apparent based on where these planets are landing in your chart right now and the transits that are happening in your chart. So I've been meeting with a few people over this last week as we've just had a few moments to connect and asking them, what their rising sign is so that I can get a better understanding of where this transformation is happening in their lives. And it is so interesting and mind-blowing to both myself and the other person how much these planetary transits affect our lives and our own becoming in our own journey of life. So if you're interested in having me look at your chart or even understanding a little bit more of how to kind of look at the transits, reach out and let me know. You can either message me on one of these formats, or you can send me a message via my email, rootsofalchemy@gmail.com, and we can set up some time. Or if you just would like to be part of a workshop or get some more information, let me know what you're interested in, because that's what I'm going to be focusing on for the coming month, is which classes and which courses and which information I can help provide to help people live their best life. I hope you all are well. I send you a good wish wherever you are, and I encourage you to go through the process, because what's on the other side is greater than you had ever imagined. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.